Hey, welcome back to another episode from Life for Living Well, and I hope you're well. And welcome to the new year, 2023. Before I dive into the topic I have for us this week, being the first podcast for 2023, I'd like to say, if you'd like to know one to three things about Life for Living Well, you can always check it out on our website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. So you write everything together and you will find so many helpful articles written over the past few months and on the platform. And you will see some of the books that are also recommended, that if you like personal development in that area, you could also give it a try if you haven't read any of those books, and I strongly recommend it that you should give it a try. And let's dive in without taking so much of your time today. And the topic I'm looking at today is what I call becoming adaptable. Like our usual way we start the podcast is to take one inspiration individual and use their words to build the whole content of the podcast. And by the time I finish this podcast, I'm hoping that you'll be able to, in line with one or two things, or you might be able to find a new one or two things, that something that you haven't known before. And that is the purpose of Life for Living Well, is helping each other to continue to develop as an individual, as a member of the society, or the greater good of all being. So today, I'm opening the podcast from Charles Darwin, Observation of Change. As you know, that the physics defined as the study of nature. And the best way you do that is to become an observer of nature. And you can only do that when you actually put yourself there. And then you can observe how things are evolved in the surface of time. So what's Charles Darwin teaching us about change, or things that we know change happen with us, with people around us, with the state of the nation, but do we really know why that change happened and what that change meant for us? So let's see what Charles Darwin come to conclusion with. So it is not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives. So if it's not the most strongest of the species that survive, neither the most intelligent. So then which one survive in a very harsh environment of a wide forest? It is the one that is most adaptable to change. So can you say it is the one that is most adaptable to change? Not just adaptable to one change, but most adaptable to change. So, if one trait that one should make an effort to develop in oneself, in my view, is becoming adaptable. Not in a way that you become fatalistic about everything that happened to you, that you didn't want to try to change it, but is to use that change as a catalyst for growth. And that's when the change power is no longer be scared of anymore. But why? From time to time, change comes either internally or externally to our life. But the experience could be either joyful or painful. It depends how those change is perceived in our life. So often, many people think they can control it, but the truth is, the change still happens. The strongest among us had failed in the face of transmutation change when they had made themselves unable to adapt to current change. I've seen people that glorify about how their life used to be 20, 30 years previously. And they could not integrate themselves with the change that happened in their life right now. So they made themselves so bitter that no one wants to spend time with them. And they wonder why people are running away from them, because they carry so many bitterness because of those change that force upon them, or the change that they themselves contributed to it based on their own unconscious behavior, unconscious action, to the point that they made themselves as a victim of so many things that they actually a participant in it. So inability to adapt to change create a unique problem. So what kind of problem? That we find when we're struggling or when we resist change. Either you seek to run away from it or forced to accept it. What most people do is to run away from it. So mostly they carry so much resentment, anger toward events that have happened. The recent example of this is the recent lockdown due to COVID-19. Many relationships suffer and are facing breakdown. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Victor Frank. So, what this particular podcast is looking to in 2023, that we transition from 2022 into 2023. You can repeat the same thing you've done in 2022, or you could say that I'm using the new opportunity I have to start afresh everything. And I decided how I want to live my life. You have that power. No one can take that away from you. But if you don't desire it, if you don't show the intention about it, it is very most highly likely that you're not going to see it, the benefit of it. So what about financial difficulties that affect people in a way that beyond the money itself? It begins to affect their mental well-being beyond their control sometimes. They have anxiety, they have a worry, they couldn't sleep. And we all know that when you have excess of this thing, it ends up manifest through the physical illness. So during the hard time and financial difficulties or challenges, others adapt well into the severe change, looking for opportunity for growth. A friend of mine, during the lockdown, she used to go and dance and meeting people, and she's happy with it. But because of the lockdown, she also quickly joined some few virtual community where she carry on dancing, and she also do meditation and yoga with other group, as I was told at the time. And she carry on doing all those things, even though there is so much restriction of physical contact with other people. It's always amazed me how she showed the same enthusiasm that she showed when she actually danced with people, real people. Or doing the same thing in virtual, she looked forward to it, she dressed up for it, she prep talk herself to it, she shared the story with me and others. And you can see the passion that we're catching through her energy on doing this. So when she described what she does to manage and adapt to change, for me, it was inspiring. So as she comes out of it, even better in terms of her mental health and self-love, she becomes even better version of herself. And others find the miserable point of the lockdown. They find it so they make the situation, they talk in a way that is so hopeless and there's no light around the corner. So becoming adaptable may help us to develop success in other parts of our life. And the key thing is, how you do a thing is how you do everything. If you manage to use being adaptable in one area of your life, it is so much powerful that it will cascade to other parts of your life. You just notice it. If you begin to eat well, you begin to exercise, you begin to read more, you will realize that with time, the way you do things will change. The way you think about things will change. The way you perceive about things will change. You no longer wait, you take action, and you can feel much better about yourself within yourself. So you do not often notice it because it is not obvious, but the truth is how we do a thing is how often we do many things. So the question is how to develop your adaptability skills. So let's see a few steps that could help in developing adaptable traits. So number one that I put down is, most important, learn to embrace change. Sometimes you think like this is natural to have, but in reality, there's millions of people that didn't know how to do this. If something cannot be done for them at once, the universe has conspired to treat them badly. That's what their conclusion comes. I once met someone many few years ago. This individual blamed themselves for every down thing that happened in the country that they reside in. They even blamed themselves for the political decision made by political elites that is because wherever they go, things always happen to them. But this person is so good, selected all the negative and the bad things that happened to them. But I was so privileged to see the good side at the period that we shared together. But they didn't mention that in the same country, other many things that is good has happened to them there. The same job that they complain, the same job also do so many great things materially for this individual. And only when you start pointing them to that, the next thing is they started laughing and the vibration of negativity that they generated in their brain disappeared. And you kind of replacing it with a different positive vibration, and then they kind of back to their faith. So you want them to be able to do this by themselves. So number one, most important, learn to embrace change. It is important to learn to accept change and often use it as an opportunity for growth. Let your mind open. That's number two. Not be closed. No one lives long to know everything. So when someone becoming almost skeptical, pessimistic about everything that can happen, when they cannot see how they can turn the negative experience into positive, long time or short time. Sometimes you might not see a short time out of this situation, but the truth is, long time, the same thing, the way it's affecting you now may not affect you in few months, few years time. And you might look back, it might actually be the best thing that can ever happen in your life. You don't know that. So, no one has lived alone to be pessimist, because no matter what you live, you will never live older than the age of the universe himself, so the planet Earth himself. So you haven't seen everything, but what you've seen so far, it could be so much way on things that is not pleasant, and the thing that is placing so tiny in your own bank storage. It is easy to be a pessimist, but it doesn't help us when changes that happen are beyond our control. Number 3, do not let your ego ruin your life. Another area where change can be very, very challenging with some people is the people that they don't know, and they don't want to know, and they don't think they don't know. And these are the people that are really difficult to help because they already have so much opinion about everything, and they are happy to go through life with that concept, and there's nothing you can do. Have you ever thought that why many people, millions of people, repeat the same mistake again? Someone will hate their father or mother so much, and then when they became adult themselves, having children or family themselves or not, they just became exactly the same person that they didn't like. How does that happen? Because subconscious, they carry the same vibration like their parents. So, this is the catch. So, do not let your ego ruin your life. So, don't be afraid to seek for help. If you really need it, don't be afraid to pick a book and read other people's experience. Don't be afraid to seek for the help of a coach to help you. It is sometimes amusing when many repeat the same pattern that didn't work for millions ahead of them, but failed to learn from it. Meaning, wasting time and crucial resources as a result of the ego and unhealthy pride. Maybe what it takes for them is to turn left. What it takes for them is to stop, take a catalog, and then move back. They won't do that. Lastly, challenge yourself and be okay to change your comfort zone. So this is what killing so many people with a lot of potential. They get stuck with their comfort zone, and they are not willing to disturb that comfort zone. So they only barely produce minimum. We are all guilty of this. We have things that we have preference about. We have things that we really like until we bold enough, strong enough to introduce chaos a little bit into it, to invite other energy that's so disruptive sometimes to it in a way that helps us to grow. It could be in your family. You could know one or two people that every time you have a chat with them, you feel like your energy is drained completely because this individual is so antagonizing. This individual is always picking up a fight. It could be your house you love is so organized and well structured that you find it so difficult to tolerate a little disorganization. Encourage friends or family that have a little baby of 6 months or 7 months to come and have a tea in your place for an hour or 2 hours and see them crawling on the carpet or on the floor and see how they make it messy and be comfortable with it. These are the things that tiny thing that can disrupt our comfort. There's a bigger thing that can make us leave the comfort zone. If you've been doing the same job for years, you don't acquire new knowledge. You already know the job from head to toe and you just keep to do the same thing. Why can't you challenge yourself of picking up a new skills or go to school or even look for a new career where you start again from scratch? And the reality is that in 5 years, people that are changing job have a potential to increase their income by 3 or 5% than you that stay in one place. Unless you're happy with it. But that is the danger of the comfort zone. But before you jump into a bigger change or disruption like that, there's other thing you could do. And it's what I just mentioned forward. You take a little baby steps and see how much your psychology is changing to tolerate a chaos, discomfort for a while. So especially change requires to change current financial, personal development, emotional, mentally and psychological state due to fear and doubt. So every time you want to make this kind of change that will destroy your comfort zone, you will definitely have fear and doubt. Many people could easily be embarrassed in public places when actions they are taking are opposite the image they want to show. Adaptable individual is peaceful, joyful, confident, perseverance, and above all, they have mastered change as an opportunity for growth. So as we're bringing this to the end, I wanted to encourage you that look around you. People admire adaptable people. Why? Because you can see their successes. It's not just one, twice. If you have the chance to talk to them, you'll be surprised things that they have done in their life and make things that you admire a lot about them in their life right now. But what brings this success is what we fail to notice often. We don't ask how many times they fail. We just want to know what can we do to be where they are. Their sheer adaptability that is making the best of the setback and challenges as a tool for personal growth in many other areas of their life. Lastly, seeking and desire to develop these skills in yourself if it is currently lacking. So once you fully embrace adaptability in the face of change, you will never be able to hide behind excuses when things do not go your way. You will rise to a challenge when it surfaces, and that experience may well propel you to a greater place in life. I hope this podcast helps someone today. And if you'd like to know one or two things about Life for Living Well or about this particular podcast, you can also check the article out on our website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. Until we meet again next week, please stay safe and have a wonderful week. Ciao.